originally thought, how much more severe it is. We're going to need to know more information. I want to appreciate everyone who wants to step up and volunteer and ask that they listen to the first responders and the professionals in being able to help out in a way that's going to assist not only the beach area but the wildlife there and the care that they need. And I want to make sure that we need to make the shift that it is economically viable. We need to make sure that California and the nation can and should be a leader on this issue. We need you as the community to help us create the political will, both locally and nationally, to get off of fossil fuels once and for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Schneider. Thank you very much. And next we have Linda Krop, Chief Counsel from the Environmental Defense Center.
Good morning. It's great to see so many people show up today. The community response has been unbelievable. I only wish the oil spill response was as unbelievable in a positive way. This tragedy reminds us that oil development is inherently dangerous and risky. There is no way to prevent a spill like this from happening. This spill happened from a relatively new pipeline with modern technology, regulated under current laws, and yet look what happened.
That's right.
This spill from this pipeline also shows that the entire industry is still unsafe. This pipeline was carrying oil produced in the offshore platforms here. Some of those platforms are fracking. Some of those platforms are using acidizing. These kind of technologies increase the risks and the impacts of offshore oil development. We need to say no more. No! There are 2 projects proposed right now off of our coast for new drilling. A lot of people aren't aware of that. Veneco wants a new drilling project right off of Elwood from Platform Holly. Sunset. No more. No more. Sunset and Exxon have a proposal to drill from offshore Vandenberg into one of the most ecologically pristine places on the planet off of Point Conception. They say it will be safe because they're going to drill from onshore and they're going to use onshore pipelines. Well, now we know that doesn't mean it's going to be safe. They say there will be no way their oil would reach the ocean. We know that's not true. No more! So please, let's stay together, let's stay in touch, let's not, be here for a moment, and then I know we all have busy lives, but let's stay connected. We have a lot of work to do. We need to deal with this immediate threat, but we also need to deal with the long-term threats to our coast. So thank you all for your support.
Thank you so much, Linda. And to make sure that this is both a rally and a press conference, I really appreciate that you did some chanting for us. Let's do a little more right now. Let's get off this addiction. Let's make a clean transition. Ready? Let's get off this addiction. Let's make a clean transition. Let's get off this addiction. Let's make a clean transition. All right, thanks guys. No more! No more! No! And next we have Mike Lyon from Get Oil Out.
Get oil out! 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 Get oil out!
Thank you. Let's get oil out. Let me tell you a little bit about the history of that name. One of the founders of Get Oil Out told me that they were standing on the beach in the 1969 oil spill, and at that time they looked off into the water in disgust and not really knowing what to do or what's happening, not really understanding the whole magnitude of the situation. And there was a few of them, and they looked at each other and said, you know what, we have to get oil out. And at that point, they formed this organization called Get Oil Out, and that was in January 28, 1969, from the original Santa Barbara oil spill. As far as this oil spill, I wasn't surprised or shocked at all. This is something that's been happening again and again and again. What was more surprising to me was that the fact that the spill resulted from an onshore pipeline that was built to eliminate the threat of oil spills in our waters from oil tankering. This really goes to show that no matter how good the technology and means are taken to prevent oil spills, and no matter how great the assurances we are given by our political leaders that the threat of oil spills has been eliminated, so long as there is oil development, there will be oil spills again and again and again. No more and get oil out. As president of Get Oil Out, I ask that you support our political leaders who support the environment and understand the catastrophic environmental consequences of oil production, and also support and join, if possible, the environmental groups and organizations that help in preventing these types of disasters from happening again and again and again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. It's great to have the support of GO and have it active. Get oil out. Next, we have Executive Director of the World Business Academy, Matt Renner.
Thank you. We stand on the precipice of a shift in the way we do energy in this country. We're either going to continue to replicate this crumble where we're watching our infrastructure break around us, pollute our waters, pollute our skies, pollute the air we breathe, or we're going to lead a transition to the clean economy. Who here on this stage and in this field is ready for 100% renewable energy in Santa Barbara right now? Who here is ready to make it happen themselves? Can you join me? It's not that complicated. And what we're calling on with the World Business Academy is that business stands for this solution. This cannot be a business versus environmental issue anymore. Responsible business doesn't pollute the ocean. Responsible business builds the future infrastructure that we're going to need to come into alignment with the earth and with the planet. I want to thank you all for showing up today, and I ask that we honor our Indigenous elders and people who spoke at the beginning of this press conference, because their message is what resonates most deeply with me. The future of business is taking responsibility for the planet. And our partners here in the environmental community, especially the Community Environmental Council, have been leading the way on community choice energy. This is a tool that we're going to use to transition Santa Barbara to 100% renewable energy starting right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Next we have Phil McKenna from Gaviota Coast Conservancy.
Hello. An oil spill on the Gaviota Coast is not acceptable. As we extract resources from the earth, we must do so with restraint and respect. Our lives and those of future generations depend upon the sustainability of our environment. We must rededicate ourselves to living lives and building a community that honors our natural environment through the careful stewardship of our homelands. I want to be redundant for clarity and emphasis. An oil spill on the Gaviota Coast is not acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. And I would just like to add to that that an oil spill anywhere is not acceptable. Yesterday, a reporter asked me, do you think this is the worst possible place for an oil spill to happen? Do you think this area should be protected above all other oil-producing areas due to its pristine beauty? And I had to be honest and say no. That was not what the reporter wanted to hear, but the truth is, while I cherish Refugio Beach and Gaviota Coastline as my lifelong favorite place on earth, and I'm shocked and saddened by this disaster, I grew up in Lompoc and Orchid, where oil companies are planning hundreds of new hazardous oil wells on top of hundreds of existing hazardous oil wells, not far from people's homes or their drinking water aquifers. The truth is, oil spills should happen nowhere. No community deserves to be an industrial wasteland. No ecosystem, including our aquifers and atmosphere, should be treated like a dump site. What we're asking for, Governor Brown, take immediate action to place a moratorium on fracking both onshore and offshore within Also, we support federal legislation from Congresswoman Lois Capps that would stop new offshore oil and gas leases off the California coast and place a moratorium on fracking in California. Fracking and extreme extraction represent an expansion of oil and gas development in California when we should be phasing it out. Money invested in oil and gas should be invested in renewable energy. Solutions that we already have the technology for. This is a matter of political will, and it's time for us and our elected officials to stand up and take the first step away from reliance on oil and gas by banning fracking and extreme extraction and putting those resources into developing renewable energy sources that are long past due. Thank you all for being here today. I want to invite Chumash Elder Marcos Lopez to come up and say some words.
Cool greetings, everybody. I do not want to talk to the preaching to the choir. We have, since the mission system all the way up to the present day, it's been a system where people talk about addiction. Well, where does that come from? The indigenous populations throughout the world have been crying out for the last 50 or more years about how we have to change our environment, how we have to respect our Mother Earth, how we have to realize our relationship with one another, and that here in Southern California, which we're on the peripheral edge, it's the largest and most influential area in which the geo-regional globalization finance capital of the world is right in the south of us, and no one talks about it. Let's not live in a vacuum. This is a cultural, a religious, a spiritual moment that we need to change and transform this beautiful place we call Santa Barbara. And all the spiritual leaders throughout the world, Africa, Asia, Latin America, here in this Americas, are praying for each and one of you and our relatives, the plant and animal life and insect life that are being tormented. And really, this is terrorism of the utmost proportion that we don't realize. Of our children's children. That to deal with is our children's future. What we do depends on our actions, not only this rally. All the eloquent speakers before me, I applaud them. I applaud the first responder, which the Chumash team is out there with the first responders, and we will be there. We have a lot of work to do. Let's roll up our sleeves, men and women, children of all ages, and go in this direction about a vision for the future, not only of Santa Barbara, but this grand country of ours. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Thank you so much for joining us and providing an opportunity for the community to come together around this disaster. I'd like to invite folks who want to stay and have a smaller circle gathering up here. People are welcome to come up and speak their hearts as the press conference is now over. Thank you.
My name is Mark McKenna. I was among the members of our community who had 46 years ago were coming to terms with the blowout and spill. We recognized then that we had a responsibility, and by that I mean a response ability, an ability to respond which could help ignite a local and a global environmental movement. Today, I call upon each and every one of us to affirm our response abilities as citizens. Don't one of you believe that you're a consumer. We are not consumers. We are embedded in a consumer culture where the message that comes through the television set, where the message that comes through the political infrastructure is that you folks are consumers. And isn't it great to be able to have so much to consume? And you can leave the business of governance to the corporations that buy the politicians in whose names actions are taken.
No more.
We are citizens. We have the responsibilities to meet our responsibilities, and in good heart and in high spirit and in joy, let us do so.
Okay.